If you are a coach or online service provider using something like Dubsado or HoneyBook, mostly to just send proposal contracts and invoices, and you feel like you're just simply overpaying for what you actually use it for, that is super normal. You're not alone. And in this video, there is a workaround for you. Hey, if we haven't met yet, my name is Ashley Rose, and I am a systems expert that specializes in Airtable. And I help coaches and service providers build client management systems that are simple, scalable, and don't fall apart as you grow. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can actually ditch Dubsado for contracts, proposals, and invoices and use Airtable and some other super lightweight tools, most of which are free or very inexpensive, while still delivering a really solid client experience and saving yourself hundreds of dollars a year. Quick expectation setting before we dive in. This is a high-level demo, not a click-by-click tutorial. I want you to see what's possible and how the flow works and not try to reverse engineer an entire system from one YouTube video. If by the end of this video you're thinking, I really want this is the solution I've been looking for, I'm ready to ditch Dubsado, let me help. So don't try to do this on your own. Let me help. I have so many different options, from a DIY template to a 12-month done with you support program to a fully done for you custom option where me and my team rebuild your entire client experience. Contract proposals and invoices are just one small piece of your client experience. So if you want to see the full picture of what Airtable and my systems can do, from application to delivery to offboarding and resigns, there's actually a live demo of the full Client Hub system in the descriptions below here. So be sure to check that out. And also, I would recommend, before you really decide if you want to go this route, check out my other video that shows you, if you do already have Dubsado, what the Dubsado experience looks like versus this experience. Dubsado is around $55 a month. It is a very streamlined option for you. So if you have a lot of sophisticated contract billing and invoice and proposal needs, Dubsado might be a good fit. But for a lot of the people I see in the industry, the tool is just too much for their business, and they actually have a way simpler business and just could really actually benefit from having a simpler setup and saving those hundreds of dollars a year. So either way that you set it up, this is absolutely, whether you go the Dubsado route or this free way that you connect these tools. This is literally the system that I use in my business. Either way works great. So go ahead and check both of those out, and let's walk through this setup. Okay, so the first step that you're going to do is, if you have an application, you will put the application inside of Airtable. You can build Airtable forms. They're pretty straightforward. They're drag and drop. They're really easy. I'm going to do this test. How I always recommend doing testing is doing it with this plus sign, and that basically creates what's called like an infinity email or something. But I do 0209, which is the date today. And I also do the time. So 9:57, systemoftheverstress.co. This is the email that I'm going to use from testing from top to bottom. So this, basically what this does is it makes it, if you have any like test emails that come through, you're just like always testing with this same email instead of having to constantly like do your work email and then your personal email. Like anytime you do this plus and create a new like something after the plus, then it treats that as a new email. So I'm going to do that. You can put as many questions as you'd like in your application. If you work with me, we do consulting on your forms and what they should all say. There's always a fine line between putting too much data that overwhelms the lead so they don't actually fill out the form, but still getting the information that you need to best support them throughout the journey. Why are you interested in joining? Are you ready to invest? And here are our values. Do you agree with them? So we're going to click submit. And then what's cool about Airtable is that you can have the option to auto accept or reject based on their applicant responses. So I'll show you what that looks like really quick. So you can see, like, when a record is created in applications, if the values is I'm not aligned, you can have it send an email that says, hey, looks like we're not a good fit, and it's going to update the status to rejected. But if they say I am aligned and I am ready to invest, then it can send them next steps, which would be the link to the Calendly. Or if there's any type of manual like reviewing that you need, you can say, hey, we are going to manually review your response. So we always recommend to set it up so they get an auto accepting or rejecting as much as possible with your applications, so the lead can go from being interested to getting on your calendar very, very quickly. Because what's probably happening is that they are reaching out to a lot of service providers or coaches at once, and the person who they can get onto the calendar with first and talk to them first is probably the one that they're going to book. So that's really what we recommend, and Airtable makes it so easy. So you'll see in your leads dashboard, this is the back end of Airtable. If we look at these applications, we can see here's Ashley, the one that I just filled out, and she was auto accepted, which is great. So that's the first step. So all of this can happen without ever having to leave Airtable. So Airtable forms, Airtable dashboard, you would have to connect something like Gmail or Outlook to send that email. but all of that can be done right with Airtable. Okay, so after the application, if they were a good fit, they would move on to booking a sales call. And we handle all of our sales call notes right inside of Airtable in our client hub. So you'll see here we have today, upcoming, and past. So you can see all of the past sales calls, and we keep track of the close status. So you can see 50% of calls have become a client, 25% have lost because they've been ghosted, 25% lost because they said they were too expensive. Can't do this stuff in Dubsado really, so this is one of the reasons why we love having all of our leads managed in Airtable. Now you have to have a call scheduler that's going to work with Airtable via Zapier or something to bring these in. We really recommend TidyCal, Acuity, or Calendly. We personally have used Acuity for years and are just moving into TidyCal. It's a one-time payment of like $29. So Dubsado did have, if you're like truly looking to ditch Dubsado, they have a call scheduler in Dubsado, but it's bad for automations. They don't have any automation capabilities inside of with the call scheduler side. So we always recommend, even if you were using Dubsado, to use something like TidyCal or Acuity to automate your calls into Airtable. So you can see here, this is Ashley. She booked her sales call. What we do is you just have that Today tab. So you just pop open and you can see her intake forms. We don't have any intake forms. It's just a sample. But if there's any Calendly, Acuity details about the intake form, if they had any additional questions, all of that there. So you can also add in your sales call script. So you can ask about the weather, you can talk about your offer, like anything you want to have here. So sometimes a lot of people I see, they have a Google Doc that has their sales call script from their coach or something. You can actually integrate that all just right into your Airtable client hub. So it's really easy to keep track of. And then you can have their application linked to their sales call. So you can open this up and see everything that they mention in the application. So it's just like really, really cohesive. So what you're going to do is be very present and very available on the call. So you just are going to show up. You don't have to do a ton of prep. I always come like maybe 5 minutes before a sales call and feel completely confident about what I'm getting myself into. So we have the application and you make notes accordingly. So right after the call is when you can go into the next step, which is this is the part where we're ditching Dubsado for these other options to create the proposal, contract, and invoice. So if you know that they're a good fit, that's what we're going to do next. Okay, so I'm actually going into my true, this is literally the system that we use for our done for you work. I've moved out of my tester template and I'm into our actual base. So you can see that it's going to look a little bit different than what I just showed you, but I think it's still basically the same. So like my sales call notes are here. I actually have a different, I added in custom fields for triage, treatment plan, and the offer, because that's what my coach taught me to do for my sales calls. So it's like truly whatever you do for your sales calls, you can customize this to work for you. So you'll see here we have the sales call close status. I'm saying I'm planning to send a proposal. And then what I do is I create a proposal here. So I'm going to say all the details. So Ashley Rose. And then it would be the same test email that I just had before. And then this is going to be a custom client CRM. I'm going to click create. So what that's doing is it's creating a section for us. And this is going to look different than if you were to do it with Dubsado. So I have a whole other video on this channel of how you still use a CRM if you were using Dubsado. And I'm going to be real and I'm going to be honest with you. The Dubsado one is more streamlined. However, Dubsado is $55 a month and it's pretty much all it's good for is to send the contract, proposal, and invoice. So if you don't want to pay $55 a month for that feature, just for that feature in your business, because maybe you don't have a ton of clients coming through or for whatever reason, you can use this system. So it's not as streamlined, but we literally use this and we assign clients through this all the time. So it still works. So I'm going to give you the overview of what it looks like. And I'm going to give you some pointers and tips of how it all fits together, but this is not a full-blown tutorial on how to set all of this up. If you want to set this up for yourself, I highly recommend booking a sales call with me to have me and my team set it up for you. It's just going to be quicker, faster. You can focus on actually selling spots instead of setting up the systems for it. So what you'll see here is we have this create proposal section. So you'll see I have the project title, the custom proposal, or I'll say so great chatting. Below is our proposal. You're a great fit for this offer. Anything you've got there. Now you can streamline as much of this as you want. And we actually, with our proposals, we use AI to put it through a proposal generator. So I like literally pop the transcript of like everything we talked about in the sales call. And I'm like, okay, based on the sales call, put in the like the things that we're doing. So we'll say Airtable client CRM. This helps you eliminate XYZ. So we'll like put some stuff there, custom client CRM, and then let's say support ticketing system, replace your inbox back and forth. So whatever you typically customize in your proposal, you just fill it out right inside of Airtable. And let's say the important dates, project start date. Now we have different pay in full bonuses. So we literally have a section where I can just pop in the pay in full bonus that made the most sense for the client. So I fill out all of this stuff. So the first thing I do right after the call is I create the proposal. Now our proposals are built in Fillout. And if you've never used Fillout, or if you have used Fillout, you probably haven't used it this way before. So we use Fillout in a way that it's called the update record function. I don't want it to spin you out, but basically what it does is that every proposal record that we create in Airtable gets auto-generated a Fillout link that's going to have custom details from Airtable right inside of the form. So you'll see here, it says, welcome to proposal Ashley. This is pre-filling the client's first name. So great chatting, below is proposal. You're a great fit for this offer. You'll notice that's the words that I put into their Airtable record. So if you wanted to customize any of that, you totally can. But all of this stuff is standard. This is standard for this specific proposal. So please review everything outlined. Then we have the client details, the proposal details, the deliverables. You'll see, of course, the client name is customized here. So is the business. So is the project. These deliverables are the same. But the custom project details, these are all the stuff that we just pulled in from Airtable. You can also see the project date. The investment is the same for every offer that we do through this system. So the more you streamline, that's just like the simpler your proposals are. But you'll see here's our pay in full bonus. And then we've got our proposal next steps. So if they say, I have questions, they could ask the questions there and click submit. If they're not going to move forward, then they could let us know. Or if they've approved it, that happens too. So that's what our proposals look like. So if you're like, oh, I didn't know that Airtable and Fillout could do this, it totally can. And this is where a lot of people really like the branded capabilities of Dubsado in those proposals. We've totally been able to replace that proposal feature option with Fillout. Now, I've said this before in the other video where we did the Dubsado one. If you have it like really sophisticated proposal needs, maybe you need them to like pick different options or like do a pricing calculator or any of that kind of stuff, Dubsado might be worth it for that $55 a month, but it really just depends on if you actually need all of the features. So we personally have a very simple system that this totally works for. And I think a lot of people feel like Dubsado is overkill for like the business that they have. So that's where this can really shine. So that's the first step, is to create a proposal that you're stoked about. So that's the first thing I do, is I make sure that all of this stuff looks good. And then we have our proposal link here. That's what we'll put in the email. And then the next thing we're going to do is create a contract via e-signature. Okay, so Dubsado does e-signatures and contracts and Airtable does not. So we need a third-party system to be able to do that. I have tested so many free options and nothing was great. There's technically even e-signatures and Fillout, but with something like a contract, I wanted something that felt legit and had like an e-signature audit and like all of these like things. And I really couldn't find a free option. I tested a bunch of things, I just tested a lot. And when I landed on the thing that I recommend, the thing that we use, the thing that we really, really like, it's called esignatures.com. Now, here's what it looks like on the back end. You will have a custom like contract template. What's really cool is actually you can do this convert PDF to Word with AI, and it can totally just like you can pop in your templates, and it's really easy to migrate into it. They make it super simple. But if we go to this client service agreement, custom Airtable build, you can see that this is our template. And there's these sections here that are more dynamic. So this company that is going to pull from an Airtable details. So you can totally customize your contract as needed here. And how their pricing works, it's a much more favorable, it's not free, but it's much cheaper than Dubsado. So if depending on how much stuff you're sending, it is literally 49 cents a contract to send. So super affordable if you only have a few contracts or things that you're sending in a month. But it is the lowest that funds that you can add is 50 cents or $50. So $50, you put your credit there. So that means you can send about 100 contracts with that one-time fee. If you use my referral link, which I'll have in the description of this video, you actually get 50% extra credit on your first payment. So if you put in $50, you're going to get an additional $25 for free if you use my credit. So that's 75, that'd be $75. So almost like 150 contracts that you can send from that. So that's the pricing stuff of this. So e-signature isn't free, but much cheaper than Dubsado. So once you have your template that you like, what you will do is you'll have an automation that gets set up. And what that automation looks like is if there's a new record in your Done For You hub and whatever client hub you've got, in the projects and proposals table, if it says limit to view for Zapier create contract, so the status is create contract, it's going to create a contract inside of eSignatures based on the template that you've got and any of the details that you want to assign there. You can do different signer positions. Like there's a bunch of different automation stuff that you can do here. And then what we always like to do is like to close the loop. So when it's created, it says contract, create contract. The contract is going to be created. Then the status will get updated to add the contract ID and have the contract status to be contract created. So what that looks like is I'm going to click create contract and it's going to update it to contract created. It gives us the contract ID. And then this is what we do is once the contract is created, I always review it using this editable link. So I personally always like look at it beforehand. If you feel comfortable with it, you can actually have it send and auto send to the client right away. I just personally always look at it. So you can see here, like, yep, the test signer email looks good. All of that looks good. You could add a redirect. Like there's just like so much you can do with this. And once that looks good, I can even preview it as a PDF. It's just a really great signature software, honestly. So like we're looking at this, looks good. So I'm going to click send. So that has sent to the client. So that looks good. So far, I've got my proposal created, contract created, and now I'm going to send an email to the client saying that like all of this is good to go. So I'm going to click generate proposal email template. And what that's doing is that there is an automation inside of Airtable that says, if it says generate proposal email template, it's going to update the record with the next steps inside. So that's how all this is created. But you can see, so great chatting with you. Review your proposal here. This is the custom fill out proposal link that we built earlier. Submit your payment here. Now we only have one payment like checkout link. You'll notice we haven't talked about invoicing yet. This is if you need sophisticated invoicing, sophisticated billing, go ahead and use Dubsado. But if you just have a simple offer that can just have like a Thrive cart or Sam cart or whatever checkout link, then this makes it really easy. So we just have this here. So submit your payment. Your cost investment is $6,000. You can select pay in full or payment plan option. And then we say you'll receive an extra separate email from esignatures.com with your contract to sign. So review your proposal, submit your payment, sign your contract. If you have any questions, just hit reply and let us know. So if that all looks good, then we just say send email. And then that email is going to send to the client and update the status to proposal sent. So the proposal has been sent to the client via Gmail here. So it gives us the link to the fill out, a link to like a Thrive cart, and then it lets them know that an e-signature thing is coming. In Dubsado, all of that is streamlined in one like central spot. However, if you don't want to pay for that, if you want this workaround, like this works. Like our clients after a call, I can send this after a sales call in under 10 minutes. And that's all they really need. They're like, okay, I can see this very clear email. I need to do this. I need to do that. I need to do this. And if they fill this out, here and they say proposal approved, we even like have it like say like, yay, make your payment here. So it still gives that kind of like those next steps, if you will. So you can do it that way. There's just like, it works. It totally works. So this is a workaround that absolutely works if you want to get rid of Dubsado. This is my solution. So is it 100% free? No, you have to use e-signatures, which is 50 cents a contract. Is that cheaper than $55 a month? Hell yeah, it is. We use the free version of Fillout. We do pay for Airtable, but you can technically literally do all of this on the free version of Airtable. And then you would have to pay for whatever invoicing platform or like checkout platform that you have. So a lot of us already have something. So if you can just have a simple checkout for your offer, that works as well. So that's what we do. So our client hub also helps me really see like at a glance, especially as the CEO, just like the status of all of our projects. So I can see I'm back in my tester template just because I didn't want to show you live leads, but you can see, okay, this proposal has been approved. This contract is signed. This one's partially paid. Okay, this person has questions about their proposal before moving forward. This person isn't moving forward. Like it just helps me see where all of our proposals are at a glance. So this is how we keep everything super organized. So we don't use any Dubsado. We don't use anything. It's like pretty much all handled right in Airtable with the help of Fillout and e-signatures. We do have automation set up. So like when the contract is signed in e-signature, it's going to update this from contract sent to contract signed automatically. When the invoice is paid, it's going to say invoice partially paid, or it will say like invoice like completely paid, like when all that stuff is paid up. So all of those things get automatically updated at a glance. So just a very simple way to do this. Then we actually go into the actual delivery of the offer. So we have a whole section that's just for like leads. That's like what me and my OBM do. But then my delivery assistants, when a job is officially a job and a project becomes a project, then they're handling like all of the onboarding and all of that stuff. So that's like a whole other kind of separate thing. Dubsado should never be the thing you use delivery for anyways, but you can absolutely ditch Dubsado for contracts, invoices, and payments if you have simple needs and you can just do it based on what I showed you here.